Welcome to vpod.ai. I'm Mike, and joining me today is our expert, Susan. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to get into our exploration today.
Me too. Because, imagine you're engineering the most structurally sound, technologically advanced bridge in the world.
A super bridge.
Right. You've sourced the strongest steel, hired the absolute most brilliant architects, and secured, billions in funding.
Sounds like a pretty solid plan so far.
Yeah, until you realize you built this absolute marvel of human engineering straight over completely dry land.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a problem.
Right. It is beautiful, it is flawless, and absolutely nobody needs to cross it. So today we are going to unpack a really central, kind of infuriating mystery in the modern business world.
It really is infuriating, yeah.
Why do incredibly smart, ambitious people build technically brilliant businesses that completely and utterly fail? For you listening, we're basically going to unlearn that toxic mythology of startup culture, and look at where massive world-changing economic value is actually hiding.
I love that bridge analogy, by the way, because it really gets right to the heart of the delusion we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have been conditioned, basically all of us, to believe that the future belongs to the visionary who invents a completely new reality out of thin air.
Like the lone genius on a stage in a black turtleneck.
Exactly, the black turtleneck myth. But when you look at the mechanics of what actually survives and thrives in the market, that narrative just falls apart completely.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I was looking at the 2024 data from CB Insights on why startups fail, and it reinforces that perfectly.
It really does.
You would naturally assume the number one reason a heavily funded company collapses is running out of cash, or maybe terrible execution, or getting crushed by a giant competitor.
Right, the usual suspects.
And those factors matter, for sure. But the single most common factor, the ultimate killer, is simply a lack of market need.
It's amazing.
Founders are spending years of their lives building elegant solutions to problems nobody actually has.
Which brings us to the core concept we really need to establish today. It's called problem gravity.
Problem gravity. I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So think of problem gravity as a natural, unavoidable force in the market. Like a strong market pulls a solution toward it because the pain already exists.
Got it.
You never have to convince a company they have a problem when they are, say, bleeding money or losing hours of labor every week. They feel the friction constantly.
Right. It's just obvious to them.
Exactly. It's wasted labor, compliance risks, revenue leakage. When a problem has gravity, the business basically becomes a natural release valve for that pressure.
But wait, doesn't brilliant marketing kind of create that gravity? Because if you look at consumer tech, it feels like companies launch entirely new behaviors all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they just market them until we care.
Well, see, marketing can create awareness, sure, but it rarely creates genuine, sustainable pain. You have to contrast the gravity of a real operational bottleneck with the way so many tech ideas are pitched today.
How so?
Well, the weak framing almost always begins with the exact same phrase. It starts with, wouldn't it be cool if...
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't it be cool if we had an AI that generated custom soundtracks based on your current heart rate and local weather during your morning commute?
Yes. That is the perfect example of a hypothetical behavior. It sounds great in a pitch deck, sure.
Right.
But nobody is waking up in a cold sweat because their commute lacks a biometric soundtrack,
No one is losing sleep over that.
Exactly. A strong signal of problem gravity, on the other hand, sounds incredibly boring.
Boring is good.
Boring is great. It sounds like we waste 30 hours every week manually reconciling vendor invoices because our legacy database doesn't talk to our modern banking portal.
Oof. Yeah, I felt that one.
Right. That statement contains evidence of existing measurable pain. And Harvard Business Review research backs this up definitively.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they consistently find that purchase urgency correlates far more strongly with pain intensity and frequency than with novelty or technical sophistication. The market rewards relief, not innovation theater.
Innovation theater. I love that term. It's like optimizing a tiny inconvenience, like making a perfectly acceptable consumer workflow just a little bit prettier instead of attacking a massive, ugly inefficiency in a traditional industry.
Precisely.
We see so many founders optimizing for what sounds glamorous at a dinner party.
Oh, that social validation trap is incredibly dangerous for builders. I mean, nobody tweets a viral thread about contractor scheduling software.
Sadly, man.
And nobody dreams as a child about modernizing chemical procurement systems.
Right, but those are the systems running the world.
Exactly. Mid-sized businesses will pay enormous, life-changing amounts of money to remove recurring friction from the systems they rely on just to keep the lights on.
So, wait, what does this all mean for someone looking to build? If I walk into a business today and I see dusty filing cabinets, panicked email chains, a whiteboard covered in messy sticky notes, and some horribly clunky legacy software from 2004.
A dream scenario.
Right, but my instinct is to run in the opposite direction. I just assume that industry is backward and impossible to help.
Yeah.
Are you saying that specific environment is actually a gold mine?
It is absolutely a gold mine. The messier the back office, the bigger the economic opportunity.
Wow.
But this requires dismantling the second massive myth of business creation, which is the idea that you have to invent something entirely new.
Right, the whole invent the future thing.
Exactly. The most transformative companies, the ones that actually reach massive scale, are rarely completely new inventions. They are exercises in recombination.
Recombination.
Yeah, they take existing, proven behaviors and drastically improve them with technology.
Okay, let's look at the mechanics of that. Give me a concrete example of a company everyone thinks is an invention, but is actually just a recombination.
Well, let's look at Uber. People constantly refer to Uber as a revolutionary invention, but economically, what did they actually invent?
Yeah, well.
Did they invent the core behavior of paying a stranger for on-demand transportation? No. Taxis and private town cars have existed for centuries.
That's true. The behavior was completely proven.
Right. What Uber did was recombine existing technologies. They took GPS, mobile payments, and smartphones and layered them over an existing behavior just to smooth out the operational friction.
I see the distinction there. Because before Uber, the behavior existed, but the friction was terrible.
Awful.
You had to stand in the rain, hope a cab drove by, try to communicate your destination, and then fumble with a broken credit card machine or pay cash.
Exactly. Uber didn't have to teach people to want to ride across town. They just made getting the ride frictionless.
So what about something in the software space, like, say, Shopify?
Shopify follows the exact same pattern. I mean, they did not invent e-commerce. Long before Shopify, people desperately wanted to sell physical goods online. But look at the friction of the before picture in the early 2000s. If a small merchant wanted to sell custom t-shirts, they had to buy server space, hire a PHP developer to build a custom cart system, figure out a payment gateway.
Oh man, deal with credit card companies directly.
Yes, and handle their own data security. It was a nightmare. Shopify just wrapped all of that existing friction into a simple monthly subscription.
Make the friction go away.
Exactly. Or look at massive vertical software companies like Toast in the restaurant space or ServiceTitan in the plumbing and HVAC industries.
Plumbing and HVAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not the glamorous industries you hear pitched at flashy tech incubators in Silicon Valley.
Not at all. But ServiceTitan became a multi-billion-dollar company, and not because plumbing suddenly became a trendy, high-tech industry.
Right.
Let's paint the picture of the friction there. Imagine a local plumbing contractor. You have a dispatcher surrounded by Post-it notes, taking frantic phone calls.
Total chaos.
Total chaos. You have plumbers out in the field losing carbon copy paper invoices under the seats of their trucks. Managers chasing down overdue payments manually. ServiceTitan simply brought vertical workflows to an unglamorous, highly fragmented industry.
They just digitized the exact flow of work that was already happening.
Exactly. They didn't invent a new way to plumb. They just removed the friction from running a plumbing business.
There's this massive disconnect, I think, between what is socially rewarded as cool and what is economically rewarded as useful.
Oh, 100%.
Because a flashy consumer AI app gets 1,000 retweets and media coverage. But a workflow automation tool for, like, industrial procurement gets the actual enterprise budget.
Yeah, and McKinsey's 2024 Enterprise Software Research maps this out clearly. Despite the media obsession with experimental frontier applications, businesses are quietly allocating enormous portions of their software spending toward operational efficiency.
Like workflow consolidation, compliance, that sort of thing.
Exactly. People and companies spend money where friction already hurts.
And nowhere does friction hurt more than in administration. I was actually reading some staggering numbers about the U.S. healthcare system.
Oh, don't even get me started on healthcare.
Right. They spend hundreds of billions of dollars annually just on administrative overhead. Something like 15 to 30% of total healthcare expenditure isn't going to patient care, it's going to administration.
Yep. And when the general public thinks of healthcare innovation, they picture biotechnology, advanced MRI machines, or revolutionary new
Of
medicines.
flashy stuff.
But that 15 to 30% of the massive budget is being eaten alive by insurance claims, shift scheduling, compliance auditing, and moving patient records between incompatible systems.
Which is wild.
A denied insurance claim doesn't require a medical breakthrough to fix. It requires software to parse the error codes and resubmit the data.
Right, that is not a medical problem. That is a coordination problem.
Exactly. And coordination problems are the ultimate software opportunity.
Okay, so if we accept that we shouldn't be inventing entirely new behaviors, and we agree we should be looking at these messy, unsexy industries, how do we actually spot the exact pain points without just guessing?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because founders are obsessed with finding an idea that has absolutely zero competitors. They want a wide-open blue ocean.
Right.
But if you're walking through a forest
Yeah.
and see a worn-down dirt path cutting across the grass, that's the market screaming, build the sidewalk here.
Yes, I love that analogy.
So what are the dirt paths of the business world? How do we find them?
The dirt paths of the business world are workarounds.
Workarounds.
If you want a definitive signal of market demand, look for where people are duct taping their own solutions together because the official tools are too painful to use.
Interesting.
Spreadsheets are a massive demand signal. If a company is running a core operational process out of a massive color-coded Excel file that crashes twice a week,
We've all seen that file.
right, that is a cry for help.
It's endless Slack coordination channels where someone has to manually ask for approval,
Yes.
or employees manually copying and pasting data from one legacy screen into a modern web browser,
Yeah.
or, my favorite, internal scripts written by that one guy in IT just to keep the lights on.
Oh, yeah. And everyone is terrified of what happens if that guy quits.
Exactly.
When employees burn their own time building manual workarounds, that is the market literally screaming for software. And to your point about competition, founders often see competition as a red flag.
Because they think if someone else is already there, the opportunity is gone.
Exactly. But economically, having no competition can often be a severe warning sign that the market simply doesn't care.
Like if nobody is trying to solve it, maybe it's not a real problem, or it's a problem nobody has the budget to fix.
Counterintuitively, competition is actually a positive signal. It's evidence of demand validity. Look at massive categories like customer relationship management, CRM, or payroll software, or
Insurance
cybersecurity.
industries.
Enormous ecosystems with multiple massive winners. They didn't become huge because one company found a magical untouched niche.
Right.
They became massive because the operational pain was so universal and so severe that it forced budget allocation across tens of thousands of companies. You don't need to be the only one doing it. You just need to solve the friction more effectively than the legacy player.
This ties into something you mentioned earlier that I really want to pull apart, this idea of accumulated inefficiency.
Oh, yes. The silent killer.
Because I think this is where we get the math of startup valuation entirely wrong. We tend to look for one giant, catastrophic problem to solve.
Right. But accumulated inefficiency is the secret engine of enterprise value.
How does that work?
Okay, imagine an ambitious founder looking for a world-changing problem, and they observe a mid-level worker taking 5 extra minutes to manually reconcile an invoice mismatch.
Okay.
Most observers would look at that and say, a 5-minute delay, that's trivial. Nobody is going to build a billion-dollar company to save 5 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't sound like it's going to change the world. It sounds like a minor annoyance.
But you have to apply systems thinking. That 5-minute inefficiency doesn't happen in a vacuum. It is repeated across a finance team of 500 employees.
Oh, wow.
It happens multiple times a day, every single day of the year, inside a high-cost labor environment. Suddenly, that 5-minute task is a multi-million-dollar economic leak.
And the cost goes far beyond the hourly wage of the worker, too.
Exactly.
Because the second-order effects have to be massive. A delayed invoice means delayed cash flow. It means someone has to manually follow up. It introduces the risk of human error, which triggers compliance audits.
You're seeing the matrix now.
It means frustrating your vendors and potentially losing favorable pricing tiers.
Yes. The original friction compounds outward through the entire organization like a virus. Research from Gartner and also the Asana Anatomy of Work report highlight this constantly.
The data show.
They show that knowledge workers spend enormous, staggering portions of their week not on actual execution, but on the coordination tax.
The coordination tax. I feel that in my bones. It's searching for information across 6 different apps, Going to status meetings to report on the work you haven't been able to do because you're constantly in status meetings.
Switching between systems, clarifying who's supposed to improve what, searching for the final version of a document. That coordination tax is one of the largest hidden inefficiencies in the modern global economy.
But companies put up with it.
Because organizations optimize for continuity first, they will tolerate terrible, painful systems, those legacy interfaces from 2004 we mentioned, because ripping them out is incredibly risky and retraining staff is expensive.
Better the devil you know.
Right. They tolerate the pain until the cost of the inefficiency finally outweighs the cost of transition.
Well, let's bring this into the present moment because here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
We are in the middle of a massive technological shift with artificial intelligence. And the dominant narrative is that AI is here to write our emails, generate marketing copy, or instantly write code.
Right, the generative stuff.
Yeah, but how does this AI boom actually interact with all these dusty, fragmented, unsexy operational realities we've been talking about?
Yeah.
It feels like there's a massive gap between the hype of AI and the reality of a messy back office.
There is a massive gap because most people assume AI creates economic value purely through intelligence generation, creating new text or new images.
Right.
But right now, in the enterprise space, its real superpower is inefficiency detection. AI is acting as an operational MRI for these companies.
An operational MRI, so scanning the business and finding the tumors, the broken bones in the workflow.
Exactly.
Break down how that actually happens when a company buys an AI tool.
Well, leadership teams buy an enterprise AI tool, assuming they can just plug it in and automate their workforce overnight.
Magic billet.
Right. But AI requires structured workflows and accessible, clean data. You cannot automate a process efficiently if the approvals live in a random Slack channel, the historical records are buried in scanned PDFs, and half the workflow only exists inside the memory of a senior employee who has worked there for 20 years.
Oh, man. So they flip the switch on the new AI, and the AI essentially says, I can't work with this unstructured chaos.
Exactly. The Deloitte 2025 Enterprise AI Adoption Study found exactly this. Firms that pursued aggressive AI automation projects ended up discovering layers of workflow fragmentation they had completely underestimated for years.
Wow.
And Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index showed a very similar pattern. The biggest constraint to AI implementation isn't the technical capability of the AI model itself, it's the operational fragmentation of the company buying it.
So AI isn't magically removing operational problems. It is forcing companies to finally confront how badly they were operating in the first place.
Spot on, which really sets up what I think are the 4 core predictions for the next decade of software.
Okay, lay them out for us. What's prediction number 1?
Prediction 1 is that AI actually increases vertical software opportunities.
Really? Because you hear people worrying that big tech models will just commoditize everything.
That is a common fear, but the reality points in the opposite direction. Generic AI capabilities are rapidly becoming table stakes. Everyone has access to the same foundational language models. What differentiates a product in the enterprise is domain-specific workflow understanding.
Oh, I see. A generic AI model doesn't understand the complex regulatory nuances of municipal building permitting.
Exactly, or healthcare compliance, or the supply chain of industrial maintenance. The winners over the next decade will be the builders who deeply understand a specific operational environment and embed AI seamlessly into those niche real-world systems.
Yeah, you can't just drop a generic chatbot onto a commercial construction site and expect it to automatically manage subcontractors and material deliveries. It doesn't know the territory.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the first prediction. What's the second?
Number 2, labor-constrained industries dictate the future.
But wait, even if you build that specific software, won't companies just try to throw more human labor at the problem instead of buying new tools? Change management is hard. It's often easier to just hire more assistants to wrangle the spreadsheets.
Well, that historical reliance on cheap labor to patch bad systems is collapsing. We are entering an era dictated by severe labor constraints. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects continued, severe shortages across skilled trades, healthcare, logistics, and operational support roles well into the 2030s.
Wow.
The humans simply do not exist to throw at the problem anymore.
So an industry that historically ignored software and just hired more administrative staff suddenly hits a wall. They literally cannot sustain their inefficient manual systems because the applicant pool is empty.
Exactly. Labor scarcity forces mandatory modernization. The lack of human labor makes the operational pain intolerable, which finally forces the enterprise budget open.
Okay, that makes total sense. What is prediction 3?
Because there are fewer humans to manually operate the software itself has to evolve. Number three is operational intelligence replaces manual tools.
Explain the difference between a manual tool and operational intelligence. If a human isn't sitting there typing in data, how does the system know what's happening?
Right now, most software relies entirely on human input. A human has to change the status of a project, manually trigger the next workflow, reconcile the data, flag errors. The software is passive, the human is active.
Right.
The shift to operational intelligence means the software environment actively and passively observes the workflows. It runs in the background, infers bottlenecks by watching data move, flags coordination failures, and alerts management to risks automatically without an employee having to actively type a single update.
Well, that's huge. It's the difference between having to obsessively write down every single calorie you eat in a fitness app versus having a smart biometric sensor that just passively monitors your metabolism and tells you your macros.
That's a great analogy. It moves from being an active, annoying chore to a passive, intelligent environment. It is a fundamental shift in how humans interact with enterprise systems. The software becomes an active participant in the coordination.
Okay, so what is the fourth and final prediction?
That leads directly to perhaps the most important realization for anyone looking to build or invest in the future. Prediction 4. Invisible infrastructure is king.
Invisible infrastructure. We are fully leaving the realm of flashy, consumer-facing apps at this point. No more chasing the next viral social media platform.
Consumer attention always gravitates toward what is visible and colorful, but the next generation of massive unicorns, the billion-dollar startups of the 2030s, won't be consumer brands you recognize.
Really?
Yeah, they will be background interoperability layers. They will be compliance automation engines and machine-to-machine coordination systems. They are the invisible operational plumbing for massive industries that are still bleeding money through fragmented legacy systems.
It is definitely not glamorous to be the plumbing, but the plumbing is the only thing keeping the skyscraper from becoming unlivable.
Exactly.
If you are listening to this and you are a founder, an operator, or just a professional trying to solve a meaningful problem in your industry, you need to radically change your filter. Stop asking, is this a brilliant, completely original idea? And start asking the hard, boring questions.
The filter has to be grounded in reality. Is this problem frequent? Does this specific inefficiency worsen as the organization attempts to scale? Are people already paying for imperfect solutions or spending their weekends building fragile spreadsheets just to get around the friction?
My favorite test for this is the disappearance test. Ask yourself, would the pain still exist tomorrow if the product they're currently using just vanished?
That's a good one.
Yeah, if they could easily go back to pen and paper without the business collapsing, you don't have problem gravity. But if taking away the tool causes a complete operational meltdown, you have found real leverage.
Because markets do not care about intellectual elegance. They do not care how hard you worked on the code. They reward you for reducing friction, reducing labor dependency, reducing risk, and reducing complexity. Spotting the quiet friction that costs an industry billions is the actual innovation.
It's a total paradigm shift away from the vanity metrics we see celebrated online. So I want to leave you with a final thought today. Think about this. What if the most valuable superpower in the next decade of business isn't elite coding skills or visionary thinking, or being a charismatic leader on a conference stage?
What if it's something totally mundane?
Right. What if the ultimate superpower is just having the extreme patience to sit in a room, endure pure boredom, and quietly observe how a mid-sized paper supply company runs its payroll? The future doesn't belong to the loudest idea. It belongs to the person who can spot the quietest friction.
Perfectly said.
Thank you all for joining us on this exploration today. Keep looking for those dirt paths, and we'll catch you next time.